there are so many things that are jeopardizing what I'll call the traditional business model of a distributor. Huge threats are facing the distributor business model. The biggest one of all is the changing behavior of the buyer, right? Their end customer. You know, this buyer is what we're calling that self-serve end customer. They are doing things to where they're no longer relying on the distributor for all the information they get. They're using the internet, they're contacting manufacturers directly. In some cases, they're even doing direct sourcing. So that is a major shift that has occurred. So if you're just looking back 2 to 3 years into the way the world is today, that is probably by far one of the biggest aspects that have changed. What else?
We'll call that our number one change.
Yeah, number one, yeah.
Customer is in control. The end customer is kind of driving the behavior, and as a self-service model, that would be our number one. I think our number two, James, has got to be direct selling. That direct selling model is really engaging with those end users differently and creating a new relationship. And they have found a way to break down that barrier in delivery, and they can engage and sell directly. So I would call that kind of their number two. Direct selling is a threat, definite threat to the distribution channel as we've historically known it.
Yeah, and even some of the research we've done, Jay, on that same topic is it's pointing to more manufacturers today trying to sell their products directly to end customers outside of just the working with their traditional distributors. And a lot of that was being driven by the number one threat, which was end users seeking to purchase direct.
I think the stat was 78% of the manufacturers expect to be selling direct at some point.
That's an alarming amount. Yeah.
It's not an unnoticeable number. I think the third one, marketplaces.
Yes, that's a huge one.
We have seen that just explode over the last 5 years. Unprecedented growth in that space.
Yeah, and I don't think we've even seen the beginnings of it, realistically. Like
that's the frightening part, right? I don't think we've even scratched the surface on that.
Yep. I mean, we're seeing new ones pop up literally every month. And, you know, the
Can't
theme...
keep track of them. I literally cannot keep track of them.
But yeah, I think the theme behind them, Jay, is a lot of these are becoming market-oriented or customer segment-oriented. So you might have one in the HVAC industry. You might have one in the industrials and industrial automation. So I think these marketplaces are trying to start with a really focused footing to build mass and scale. But once they get an audience within that vertical, where do you think they're going to go? I mean, Amazon started with selling, what was it? Books, right? And today, I just ordered some shoelaces from Amazon.
Right. I don't think I've ordered a book from Amazon in 10 years.
No, that's great. So what would you say number 4 would be?
You know, I'm going to go back to what we've heard for the last couple of years, supply chain logistics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That is definitely a continued threat. And supply chain logistic companies encroaching on their space even more.
Yeah, and I think this is a product of all the disruption within the supply chain that we've seen over the last 2-3 years. There is so much investment going into just supply chain as a whole and logistics as a whole, to where you're going to see new entrants come in with both technology, but also in warehousing space to where, and I think even Amazon just got into this as logistics or supply chain as a service. Amazon wasn't the first one to do that. They're just going to be one of the largest to do it. But there are other providers out there that are going directly to manufacturers and offering national coverage for localized inventory for their products to get their products to end users within a 24-hour shipping window, right? So that one is definitely a huge threat to the traditional distributor business model.
And I think the last one, I would say it's got to be consolidation in the market.
Yeah, that is a major one as well.
Major threat that the consolidation continues at record pace. I haven't seen anything like this level probably my whole career.
Yeah.
For consolidation. It's
The big guys are getting bigger.
correct.
The multi-regional guys are getting national.
Right.
The smaller guys, they're in a tough spot.
They are very tough spot.
But not to say that they can't really understand the value they can bring to a local audience and get deeper with that local audience is impossible. It's just their strategy, needs to get much tighter and much more centric around their customer base.
So let's net this out. There's 5 or 6 really predominant strategies or threats in the market that are occurring today.
Yeah.
Right? These threats are everything from the end user being in control, direct selling, self-service marketplaces, consolidation, supply chain and logistics companies encroaching on their space. But if you really think about that, the net of it is that if you haven't done so, look today to start building a modern strategy to defend yourself from these threats.
Correct.
They're not going away. They're not going away tomorrow. So you need to be in a position to defend your position in the market.
You need to evolve your strategies in a holistic manner from, understanding where you're going, understanding who you really want to serve and build deeper relationships with from an end customer standpoint, and what investments you're going to make to serve that end customer in new ways to where you can bring new value to those relationships. And there's, like I said, I'll go back, it's an exciting time because I think there's a lot of distributors that recognize these threats that are facing their business, and they're actively seeking new ideas from people outside of their organization on how can we look at things differently? How can we be more competitive over the next 3 to 5 years? How can we be more relevant?
No, it's perfect. Love it.